Eychimo's Adventures is now live. Multi-streaming with
Oh, come on. Oops. Switch to the other monitor. Alright. Let's kick it up here. Okay. Okay. First thing you want to make sure we're not loaded yet. You'll want to first thing you want to do is you want to make sure your Vortex is set right. So we're going to configure it. Make sure you have configuration settings right. Load it up. It's already running. You want to go to General. Whoops. Shit, not running the mirror. Alright. Okay, this does not work. It doesn't work real right because I'm not running it off the screen. But I'm off the mirror. These settings are important. Make sure your device selection. I don't know what your headset is. It might be different with a Vive. You're running Steam VR. Block all known overlays. Don't optimize game settings. Enable expert. And I hide less important. Apply and close. Mine's already loaded. I don't need to change it. Also, just for shits and grins, you'll want to start your Oculus debug tool. You want to set pixels per display panel. These are advanced tips and tricks. Set it at 1.5. It will be 0 on default. ASW, space warp, you want to disable Oculuses or Vives. It doesn't make any difference whose it is. Disable it. But this is for Oculus, their control panel. You'll get a better visual. You'll also turn their space warp off. Okay, those are the basic things. Those need to be done. Nothing else needs to be changed. Then we'll just launch the game. Take a second here as we load in. I don't normally load it in off the virtual desktop. I'm just doing that because we're in the mirror and you can see it. These are just basic warnings. Just ignore them. Okay, now we're gonna load in here. As we load up into the loading screen, okay, now we're going to turn on the Vortex panel. Delete key on the keyboard. If you're using an Xbox controller like me, it's a left click on the left stick. Brings up the control panel. Play style. Alright. I run it in immersive screen mode. You can run it in full VR mode. The full VR mode works just fine. The only difference is when you're trying to read menus and stuff, this will give you the most. If you're looking to cover your head completely and not be able to see edges of the screen at any time, this is the mode you want to do. You'll want to set the distance. Image zoom. You can move the screen anywhere you want to, forward or background. It doesn't make any difference. But the difference is when you go to read chat or your menu, you'll never be able to focus on it, so you have to use Edge Peek. And Edge Peek is just a matter of middle mouse button, right click on an Xbox controller. It moves the screen in and out so you can read the sides of the menu. You can run it in cinema mode too. It works pretty much like full VR mode. Everything does work in it. Uh, it's personal preference. Like I say, you want the nearest to full VR mode if you really are concerned about seeing edges of your screen. Um, because you can zoom it in so all you can see is nothing but the game itself. As you can see, it cuts off when you set it that way. It works just fine. The difference is to see the rest of the menus, you need to edge peek it out. This is true in game or in the menus because you are blocking it out because you prefer a full VR experience where you cannot see any lines around your screen. No matter head tracking or what, you'll never be able to pick up the sides of your screen. Works just fine. We'll show you what it looks like in game. But I use it in immersive screen mode, and I'll show you the difference once we're inside the game itself, and you'll be able to see what the difference is, where this menu is stationary and the game itself is not. But those are the three modes. You'll also, we'll go in here, direct mode async render. It will say device default. Turn it to this, on. This means it uses Vortex ASW and not the Oculus Rift ASW. The difference is Oculus Rift's ASW will limit your frames to 40 frames per second no matter what. If you use Vortex's ASW, it will not limit your frame rate. So if you can carry 50, it will carry 50 in the game, and then has to make less extra frames to get you to your headset what it'll run at max. Like this one runs at 80. If it's a regular Oculus or a Vive, it'll run at 90. But this allows, if you use it this way, this allows the game to run at its true frame rate. It will not limit your frame rate to 40 or 45 depending on your headset. So if you have better frame rates than that, take advantage of it. Use ASW built in into Vortex. Do not use the headset's default. So that's why I turned it off in the Oculus debug panel. I'm using Vortex ASW, and I am not using Oculus's. Okay, let's go on in the game. Should not be getting. If you're using Steam VR to run, it may be putting you in big screen beta as default, which is probably going to try to put it as a virtual monitor, as what big screen does. It'll take 30 seconds here to load in on this SSD. There it goes. Alright, now we're in the game. Alright, let's get out here and we'll go out in the hallway so we can see what we're looking at. Alright, now let's go back into our Vortex panel. We are in immersive mode. As you see, as my head tracking tracks right to left, I can see the edges of my screen. Even looking straight ahead, I cannot see the edges on my left or right, but I can see small black bars top and bottom. I can see that all the way. Now I can get rid of that by zooming it in, but I think it's zoomed in too far. That's why I run the setting I run. I have it backed off, so I have it 0.75 because to me that's what's comfortable. I can back it all the way down to 0 where I cannot see the edges. Top or bottom regardless, and it still works the same left and right. But to me, things are just too close. It's not realistic. It's like I'm zoomed in on everything, as you can see. As I zoom it out, I get more distance, and to me it's just more comfortable visually. Personal preference, doesn't make any difference. If you don't like the way I do it, you can zoom it in all you want to, or you can zoom it out to max. It's up to you. I found this is the most comfortable for me. and I like it because I can scan. As you can see, I look to my left, the prox and comms up there. If I'm looking straight ahead, I can't read them even if I track it with my eyeballs. I have, and I can look over and I can see it clearly. It comes into focus. Now, full screen mode. Okay, you can see I got it zoomed in. No matter I turn my head, I cannot see any edges on this screen. All right. The trouble is I can never look far enough. The way it works is that I cannot see the menus. To see them, I have to use the edge peek feature, which is pops the screen out a little bit. Now I can read the menus in the chat. I cannot read them in full VR mode because, because they're not in my field of view. I can't increase the field of view. The game doesn't allow it anymore. So you're pretty much stuck to use Edge Peek when you're in full VR mode. It works just fine. If you want the same aspect you get in say Half-Life Alyx, where you can't see nothing but what's in front of you, you want to use full VR mode, and you want to use the Edge Peek feature when you're into the menus and stuff, so you can see them. And then just pop it back to wherever your default setting is. It will not affect your frame rate one way or the other, whether you're in full VR or immersive mode. And then cinema mode works pretty much as a combination of the two, actually. Let's go ahead and put it in cinema mode so you can see. Okay, now we're in cinema mode. I can move the screen once again, but in cinema mode it's like it's more like sitting in a big cinema where you can actually look to the edge of your screen again. It's not in immersive mode, so you have more control on your zoom. And once again, you can edge peek or not. But see how edge peek, it actually brings up a smaller window here. See this? When you edge peek in cinema mode, you're actually bringing in a window inside a window. And that way you can see the edges of your screen. So there's your difference. All right. That's the difference view distance. At this time, I used to always run it in full VR mode, but I have found that I really do like immersive mode because I don't have to worry about using edge peek anymore. Seeing the edge of my screen doesn't bother me. It has no bearing on how the game plays. It just makes it so I can look over and I can read the menus on all sides without having to edge peek it out. Just one function I don't have to do. Alright. Let's say it shouldn't be it should not be loading in as a virtual monitor like if you're on big screen VR. And my only guess is if you have Steam VR set up, you're running Steam VR, which I guess if you're using an Index or you're using a Cosmos, you have to use it, but you do not want it to default to big screen VR when you're playing other games. That's an option in Steam VR. I forget where it is in there, but there is an option that when you're playing other games in VR that are not VR, that it defaults to big screen, and you do not want it to default to big screen. That would be my guess is why it's showing you a virtual monitor instead of the actual game. You should not have to run Steam VR in big screen. Turn that option off, that it automatically does it. It's an option in there. That way it will load the game in the way it's supposed to. But that's my guess is where you're getting a virtual big screen is it's actually Steam VR doing it. If you're running in an Oculus of any type, don't even start Steam VR. Shouldn't even be running. I don't run Steam VR. I don't need to. And I guess I'm not even sure if you have to run Steam VR when you start your Oculus. I mean, if you're running in the NVIDIA. I mean, a Vive. I don't have one, so I can't test it. You may not even have to run Steam VR to run Vorpex. Not. It may take care of it all by itself. As long as you start the headset, it's running. Somebody shooting through the building. See that? Uh, so I don't know. Like I say, I don't have a Vive unit, so I can't check it. Uh, but if you're running Steam VR, my guess is it's defaulting to big screen VR, and that's why you're getting you're getting a virtual monitor versus being in VR. Okay, the other thing we'll go in here real quick and check for you is VR settings itself. I'm running it on adaptive. You have three settings. You have normal, you have adaptive, and you have geometry. Now, geometry has the most 3D period, and it is really cool. However, at this time in geometry, when you're using a mobile glass, at least on my Oculus Rift mobile glass, it will white out. Mobile glass. I think I did start it. Yes, I did. See this? This is what happens in geometry mode when you use your mobile glass. It white screens you, which totally makes it totally useless. I don't know why. I don't know what the issue is. It didn't always do this. I don't know if the issue is Star Citizen, the way they are rendering it now. I don't know if it's Vorpex. I do not know if it's the headset, Oculus itself. I do not know what's causing it. I can't keep it from doing that in 3D geometry. Everything else works fine. You just cannot use the mobile glass. Close mobile glass.
Closing mobile glass.
And it'll take a minute for your eyeballs to adjust after getting whited out. And, yeah, see my pupils have got to close after being blinded. But 3D geometry has excellent. It has Half-Life Alyx 3D. Make no mistake about it. It will occasionally pull up a graphics glitch. It's not showing it here, but sometimes it'll start flickering off to the side or something, and that's a graphical glitch for it pulling 3D out of a major 3D out of a 2D scene. But it's very, very advanced 3D, and you can actually set it where you can actually pull rocks off the ground. You can put that much 3D in it. You do take a major frame rate hit for this. Even more so than just running it in Vorpex. So you will take a big frame rate hit, but as you can see here at All-Star, it's not bad enough. It's not playable. The only trouble is you just can't use your mobile glass, which really makes it a pain in the ass. Being Star Citizen has everything, tied into their mobile glass. So missions, anything like that, it doesn't work. You can do cargo runs. You can't use the star map. You have to do everything manually. However, everything else, the small menus in here like this, these work just fine. Only thing that doesn't work is the mobile glass. And like I say, it works if you could see it. It just blinds you, so you can't see it. That's why I don't run 3D geometry all the time, even though it really looks nice. By having this much 3D, you can really tell the difference when you have geometry on. I mean, it's really just like I say, more Half-Life Alyx than it is anything. It's really serious. Everything's 3D, heavily. All right. So anyway, that's the trouble with running it in geometry mode. So I run it in adaptive. Adaptive has the second most powerful 3D. It's really, really good. Like I say, a little bit more would be nice, but even with it turned out all the way, you can't approach the 3D that geometry gives you. Although it's really good, and the ship cockpits look really good. Now, Z normal is still 3D, but you won't. It's not quite as pronounced. It's even less pronounced than adaptive. So I've got the point that I've actually like adaptive. Um, Once again, between adaptive and Z normal, you will not see any difference in your frame rates, but you will see a difference in the 3D. So at this time, I run it in adaptive mode because it's just a little bit more 3D, looks a little cooler, especially in your ship cockpits. Alright, I can't think of nothing else here that, like I say, I'm not sure why you're showing up as a virtual monitor. It should not be doing that unless it's, and like I say, my guess is you're running a Vive of some sort, and it's showing up as big screen. Your settings in Steam VR are set up as big screen mode. Your default is that if you run any game, uh, you run any game, it automatically defaults to big screen mode, which would put you on a virtual monitor. That is my guess. Turn that feature off in your Steam VR settings so it does not run you on a virtual monitor. Because...
Are you streaming?
Yes. Yes, this is all live. We are streaming, and I'm in the mirror so you can see everything.
Did I miss it?
I just started, but go ahead and ask questions. We'll go through it. What are you running? Are you running a Vive or a Cosmos or a Vive Pro maybe? You know, my guess if you're showing up as a virtual monitor, you're running Steam VR in the background. Is my guess. That would be my guess. Change view.
Roger that.
Oh, somebody's got a crime stat up there. And just disappeared. Look at that. They shoot their own station. These gunners are terrible. They really are terrible gunners. No idea how to aim. Change view. Change view.
Roger that.
But there we have it. Like I say, my guess is it's running. You're running Steam VR. It's only guess I can take why it would show up as a virtual monitor.
Your ship has been delivered to the following landing pad.
This station has been designated as an armament zone.
Because in Oculus, even though you may start it in virtual desktop, it's going to automatically switch it over. That's on 2, I think, wasn't it? On 2. And things like this mining head look real cool in 3D. I have to admit. Yeah, everybody just gonna blow up. Come here. There it is. I'm looking forward to the wheels, so all the inner ship buttons are in the same damn place. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Well, with all this fighting going on out here, we'll see if we can't get blowed up. Start up.
Acknowledged.
Yeah. Take off.
Ascending.
Range.
Retracting modules. Collecting data.
Inside the shields.
Please visit again.
Got there to let this guy chase us. Not that he cares, he's already got a crime stat. Jump.
Jumping.
He doesn't really care because he's already got a crime stat. Wish they'd smooth out these transitions, animations, whatever they want to call them. Range.
Collecting data.
Jump.
Jumping.
Huh. We can see the sun below the horizon. Well, they got something screwed up on this server. See that? I can actually see through the planet here. Is not that stars I see there? Through the planet? Yeah, this server's not in good shape. Yeah, I can see the stars through the planets. Okay. I'd say this server's about to... Huh. Yeah, something ain't right here. Either that or warped me through the planet. Now, we're DCing. I told you it was bad. I knew something was wrong when I could see the stars through the planet. Alright, we'll just relaunch it. Yep, knew something wasn't right. Oh well. Trouble is, I'll have to respawn this ship. Yep, it's not going to give me a recovery, such as why. Yep, had no doubt there was something wrong. Come on, load on in. There we go. Oh, shit. Didn't even give me a recovery, but I'm still in my ship. Huh. Ain't that something? Startup.
Acknowledged.
Does that mean I'm going to DC again here? Huh. Change view.
Roger that.
Yeah, I never had that happen before. Change view.
Roger that.
See where we're at. Close comms.
Comlink closed.
I am in the middle of no man's land, I guess. Huh. Because I sure don't see a planet nowhere. See the sun. We're out in the middle. Ooh, range. Range.
Collecting data.
Huh. Say, huh? 21 from Delamar. Really ought to be able to see Crusader. Star map.
Activating now.
Where's the claim we're at? Alright. Well, I'm way out here at the sun, aren't I? It's probably not a good thing. Not gonna let me, close star map.
Affirmative.
Not gonna let me jump anywhere. Star map.
Activating now.
Huh. Close star map.
Affirmative.
May not let me out of here. May not let me out of here. We'll find out. We're in no man's land. Jump.
Jumping.
No, you're not. Range.
Collecting data.
Range.
Collecting data.
I might have to die out here. Jump.
Jumping.
Jump.
Jumping.
Yep, something ain't right. Jump.
Jumping.
Okay, we might get out of here. Might get out of here. Okay, that was just a bit freaky. Why it would change view.
Eychimo.
Hello.
Roger that.
Okay, server is acting really, really weird. See the star disappeared? Huh. Really, really weird. Change view. Change view. Huh.
Roger that.
Acting pretty weird here today. We went out to Daymar and could see through the planet. It DC'd us and then stuck us out.
Can you help me with the VR setup?
Yes, can. Okay, are you running Steam VR?
Yes.
Okay, do you have the default setting to in non-VR games
Yes.
that it's going to big screen VR? You need to turn that
Can I
option.
talk?
Yeah. You and you can talk in Discord too, by the way. You don't have to wait for the stream feed. The channel's open in Discord, the voice channel. But yeah, it sounds like it's defaulting to big screen, Steam VR big screen. And there's an option in Steam VR to turn that feature off so it doesn't do that automatically when you're not playing a VR game. Because that's what's happening. It's defaulting you to big screen VR or big screen, but whatever it is. And so it's putting you on a virtual monitor instead of letting Vorpex load it. So you need to turn that off. And I only use Steam VR in games I've downloaded in Steam, and I have that setting turned off so whenever I run any game in VR, it doesn't default to big screen. But I believe that's what it's doing to you. You're starting Star Citizen, and it's automatically setting it to big screen. But you can turn that feature off so it doesn't do that.
Do you hear me?
Yes, I do. Yep. Like I say, you can go directly to Discord voice channel. It will go to voice, where you don't have to type. But even if you type in Discord, it will show up.
Hey, do you hear me here?
Yep, I got you.
Finally. Hey, okay, so my question is, when I start Warpex, there is a setting under Warpex that I can select between 3 different options.
Which 3 options?
Give me a second, let me load that up.
Okay, is it, at the original start? Like it says start Vorpex, configure Vorpex in cinema mode?
Give me 1 second here.
Okay. Cruise control.
Affirmative.
Hey, so when I press the delete button, it opens up the WarpX settings,
Yes.
and it says play style is immersive screen mode.
Cinema mode and full VR. So you have 3 different settings there. I use it on immersive screen mode. You do not have to. You can use
Okay.
it on full VR. The difference between the two modes, the modes are immersive mode. When you use your head tracking, you can actually track to the side of the edge of your screen. Does that make sense? I don't know if you can see if you're watching the stream at the same token, but I'm in full immersive mode now, and as I look left and right, I can actually go to the edge of the edge of the screen, so I can
Right.
read the chat and stuff without having to edge peek. Now I will switch this to. Oops, turn my thing back on. I'll switch it to full VR mode. Now full VR mode will make it seem like you're more in a regular VR game because you can adjust your screen so you cannot see the edges of your screen. However, when you track your head tracking, you notice the chat moves with it and you really can't read it because it cuts it off because these menus and stuff are not made for VR. So you have to use the edge peek feature, which default is a middle mouse button. You just click it moves the screen out, and now you can see the whole screen so you can read your chat and stuff. But normal play, you'll just want to pull it back in. That will give you the more Half-Life Alyx view, if that makes sense, because you cannot see the edges of your screen.
Okay.
Cinema mode works pretty much like immersive screen mode. The only difference is when you look to you'll still can see the edges of your screen when you head track. The only difference is you'll see the seats and stuff like you're watching the big movie. As I said, I have learned that I like immersive screen mode just because I don't have to edge peek to be able to see my menus. Personal preference. If you want the full VR experience where you can't see the edges of the screen, you can wrap it around you in full VR. It makes no difference as far as how the game runs, how VorpX works. It just gives you that experience where you can never see the edge of your screen if that bothers you. Some people don't like to be able to see the edge of the screen when they're tracking. It's not like, as you can see, I can track, but however, once I move my head so far, it brings up the edge. I like that. When I look straight ahead, I can't see the edges. It's only when I track to the left or right.
Yep.
So, it's personal preference. Like I said, if you want like Half-Life Alyx, you do not want to be able to see any edges, run it in full VR mode, and then when you want to read chat or you want to read something on a menu you can't see right, just edge peek it out and then you can see it just fine. And edge peek even works in full VR mode, as you can see. You can pull it in and out. You just don't need to use it.
Okay. So yeah, let me load up the game.
But if you're getting a virtual monitor, which we'll do if you're running it in big screen or something like that, and I think that's what happened. I'm using Oculus, so I don't run Steam VR unless I'm running a Steam game. But I've turned the option off in Steam VR where if I'm running a non-VR game, it doesn't automatically run big screen beta in my HMD. There's an option in there that turns that off where you do not have to use big screen. Default is on. I know that for a fact. And because I run a lot of games in VorpX, and they're Steam games that I've gotten off Steam. So, of course, when you're running A regular Steam game, it requires you to turn Steam VR on, but I just turn the option on that does not default to big screen, and that way it lets VorpX do the loading.
Okay.
Because VorpX will put it in your headset all by itself, and it won't put it in as a virtual monitor. And that's what if you're getting a virtual monitor, that's exactly what it's doing. It's like you're running the game in big screen beta, which is not what you want. You're not going to get the 3D or nothing. Let VorpX do all the work.
I'm searching for the big screen options. Let me check where it is.
Yeah, it'll say I think it's on by default.
Okay, I'm searching for it. Do you know where it is?
Oh, let me tab out here, and I can tell you. I can go to my. Let's see. Let's go monitor one. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do here. Yes, it is. Okay, I'm gonna have to start Steam VR here somewhere. I do believe because I don't have it running. Let me get out of. Turn that off. Go over here. Steam VR. Steam. Turn it on. Shouldn't affect anything. I just not running it. Come on, load up. No idea why Steam takes so long to load. Alright, let's see. Let's close this. What do we want here? There should be settings here somewhere in there. Settings.
Oh, is it inside Steam or is it inside Steam VR?
It may be inside Steam. I'm checking now.
Okay.
Interface. It's in Steam. It's in Steam itself.
Okay.
It's under Interface. It says Start Steam in Big Picture Mode. Make sure it's unclicked.
Okay, let me check.
Where else? Anything else? Cloud music, broadcasting remote. Big picture configuration. Well, that's just for the controller. Yeah, see, I have it turned off. I don't think there's anywhere else this can be. And I do have the overlays turned off, but that's just because I don't use them.
Hey, do you hear me?
Yep.
Okay.
Alright, I'll load Steam VR and we'll make sure it's not in here.
Where did you say interface is it?
Hold on. Kick myself out here. Shame on me.
Is it inside interface or?
Interface, yes.
Okay.
Steam settings, and it should say.
Start Steam in big picture mode. Is that the one?
That's the one.
Yeah, no, it's off.
Okay. Let me check here.
No, I mean, it doesn't look like a monitor. It looks like a square, and that's it.
Okay, looks like a square.
Like how like a rectangle actually. Like the size of my monitor.
Okay, you'll want to when you have the okay. First thing you'll want to do is when you're let's see, where's my pixel? Here somewhere. Okay. It's probably a matter of zooming it to the size you need it. If
Okay.
it's
I mean, my monitor is really widescreen, but the pixels on my VR is narrow. How do those match up?
it sounds like to me it's really narrow. Are you power
So
down?
what happens is the monitor goes really wide and I can see top and bottom as black screen because my VR is like too narrow, right? So
And you're in immersive screen mode?
yeah, immersive screen mode, what it does is it just moves the whole monitor
Right.
right and left along when I move my head. Is it something to do I have to run separate software like for head tracking or something?
No.
I didn't even know this game was out.
Yeah, no, you don't have to run separate head tracking. I'm using head tracking all through
When
Vortex.
you when you move move your head in immersive screen mode, you
Right.
see all your um, MFDs and everything, right?
Right.
Multifunction displays and everything.
Right.
But I don't. It doesn't happen for me. The screen just moves for me.
The whole screen is moving.
Yeah.
Okay. What you'll want to do, hang on, I don't know if you can see this. You want to go into options, Star Citizen options.
Hold on a second. Let me open up all my VR related stuff. Give me.
All right.
I did quit the game to open Steam VR. It did not open for me. So
Right. I understand. What is it doing instead of head tracking, you're controlling your ship or you're controlling your character. Does that make sense?
Headset, so I didn't hear what you said.
Okay, what's happening is instead of head tracking, it's trying to steer. If that, I don't know if that makes sense, but that's what's happening. Because when you're moving your head left or right, you're not panning the screen. You're actually moving your mouse.
Right.
Okay, what you want to do is under keyboard, key bindings in the options, keyboard and mouse settings, go to advanced, go to the advanced settings,
Yep.
and click on flight movement. Open that setting up. Okay, now you'll see that your mouse is bound to pitch, yaw, and pitch. Unbind it. Just right click it, highlight it, then right click, unbind it.
Yep, done.
Okay, now you'll have head tracking instead of mouse movement.
Let me open up again.
Now try it again and see what happens. Yeah, default is that Star Citizen doesn't head track itself, of course. It uses its mouse.
It doesn't head track even now.
It's not head tracking now. You might have to restart the game. But you should head track now. Restart
Let
it.
me restart.
Yeah,
the game.
restart it. It should head track now.
Hey, I have one question. Okay, so I have a really widescreen monitor, like 16:9 ratio.
Right, I'm running the same thing.
So when the game opens up, I see a rectangle screen
Right,
in Warpex.
right.
and everything else is grayed out in the back.
Oh, that's just your background. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah,
Your
yeah, that makes sense. Is that possible to open the game in a different different size or something?
Yes, it is, but it's a matter of using the zoom, as you can zoom the screen in where you can't see the sides of it.
Ah, that makes sense.
Yes, you can zoom. You can zoom your screen in front of you. You can zoom it so close you can never see the edges of your screen, especially if you're in full
Okay.
VR mode. In
Yep,
immersive
yep.
mode, regardless, when you track left and right, you will be able to see the edges. I don't care how far you zoom it in.
Yep. Okay. Let me try this then. Opening up Arena Commander. Let me load up a game.
Usually, head tracking getting cut off, that is the reason. It's because the mouse is bound to your flight movement. Instead of head tracking.
It doesn't look like it's head tracking.
Is it no longer moving the screen all around?
What is that?
You said before it was just moving the screen around. Is that no longer happening?
No, I mean, what I'm saying is, I see like a. Oh no, that's Cinema VR, right? Let me.
Go back, go to immersive screen or full VR will work the same.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the immersive screen, so when I move my head left,
Uh huh.
I can see the border of the screen and everything, but my cockpit,
You're
the,
not
the head
being
is not moving inside the.
okay. Open your Vortex panel.
Okay.
You see where it says head tracking multiplier on the first page, main settings. Make sure that's turned up to
Yep.
1.
Okay. Yep, it's turned up to 1.
Okay, there's one other in here somewhere. Let me find it. Okay, let's see. Right click the top button, I think 3 times. You'll see head tracking. It'll go to head tracking settings. I think it's the 3rd time. Let's see.
Yep.
1. Okay, make sure head tracking is turned on.
Yeah, it is.
What's in the sensitivity? I have mine set at 1.5. And then hit OK and save.
Yeah, still the same thing.
Still the same thing. Well, I can fix that. Send me your email in a private message on Discord.
Okay.
I will send you my action map settings that you can install, and it will get your head tracking working instead of us trying to just discover what it is. Now, it may
Yeah.
change some of your key mapping, so if you notice something changed that you like using, you'll have to switch it back. Does that make sense?
Which one?
I don't know. I don't know which ones. I may have changed. I don't really change key binding settings, but there's a few I have. So if you're used to one and you find it no longer works, it's probably because you're going to have to go in and redo it. Set it back the way you want it.
Like for Star Citizen?
Yes, but only for Star
that's
Citizen.
okay.
It'll only affect Star Citizen. It won't affect. However, it
Yeah.
will turn on your head tracking. That's normally the biggest reason. That setting, the mouse is bound to X and Y, so it doesn't work. That's normally the biggest
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
But there's several others that could possibly be it, but we'd take us forever. But it'd be easier just to send me send you the action maps that I use, and I know it'll work immediately that way. If that makes sense, just install it in your Star Citizen Live folder where the action maps are. I forget. Same place you go when you reset. When you reset the game after a patch, where it's they tell you to reset it. But
Yep,
there's an
yep.
action maps there, and you just install
No,
it.
I haven't done that actually. So.
I don't do it either, but they tell you to. I've never found it to be an issue. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'll send you the patch too. But make sure it's in the private message. Do not send it just to Discord.
Yeah. I already sent you to
Okay.
the private message in Discord.
Okay, I'll go ahead and log out, and then I'll send it to you real quick so you can get it.
Okay.
See if we can get it working. Then that'll probably fix it. Like I say,
Okay.
normally it's that X and Y binding that screws it up, but there are a couple others, and we'd have to go through it and troubleshoot each one.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Okay.
Okay, I'll talk to you in just a few.
Thank you.
Let's get out of here and do this. Whoops.